Yeah.
Good evening. Welcome to the East Bridgewater Finance Committee meeting tonight, April 15th, 2025.
16.
Tonight,
The
we're going to go
16th.
over the articles for town meeting, have a little conversation about the budget and where we're at, and how we finally were able to get to balance the budget a bit. So, before we do that, can we take action on the minutes? We were not able to do the minutes last time. We weren't all here. We didn't have a quorum to vote on them. So what I'd like to do is I'd take a motion. Everybody, I hope, has had a chance to review the minutes. So,
I'll make a motion to approve the meeting minutes from March 3rd and March 11th, 2025.
I second that.
okay. Everybody get a chance to review them and we're okay with them?
Yeah.
All right. All
What
those
about
in
George?
favor?
Aye.
So tonight, we're gonna go over the special town meeting and the annual town meeting warrants. So just some little tidbits of information for folks who are at home, is where's our money come from? And, we were able to balance the budget. We worked very closely with the schools, with all the departments, schools, police, fire, DPW, et cetera, and made some reductions. And fortunately enough, we don't feel that any of those reductions we made in the budgets will actually impact the services that the citizens see at this point. Okay? We're reserve fund, we're tapping into the reserve fund. We're reaching very high on free cash this year. Something we had weaned, they worked very hard for years to wean themselves off dependency on free cash. And we were building up the stabilization funds and the capital stabilization fund. So happy that we did that because we are now draining those reserves. And I just want to let folks know that digging into the grind here and all the mud and everything, whatever you can imagine, digging up pennies. We were taking the seat cushions out of some of the furniture to see what we could find. In 3 years to 4 years, it's not pretty because our reserve funds will be gone. And then we won't be able to subsidize the budget. At that point in time, it will affect our bond ratings. It will have a massive effect on us. Next year, we're still planning. We still have plans to use it along with our original plan to get us to that point. But we are going to be reviewing all of our options as we go forward. If this year was difficult, which in my 30 years involved, it was one of the most difficult, it's going to be tougher next year. So, but we're ready to put this year, I don't want to say behind us, but to move forward. And like I said, it was only as of Friday, I believe it was, wasn't it, Charlie, that we balanced the budget? Yep. So, and that was with a lot of time and effort by a lot of folks, and everybody cooperated. Everybody cooperated.
Nice.
So it was very nice to see. So let's start to review the articles for the special town meeting. Article 1. Okay, Article 1 is to meet obligations for union and personnel contract, whatever is needed. At this point, we're still trying to get that number together. We believe we were very close, but to support this article with whatever number they come up with, actually. So I'll take a motion.
So, motion to approve Article 1 as written.
Okay,
I second that.
okay. Is there any questions around this? Because we may have a few articles without the dollars attached, because we haven't got a final number yet. But we have a very good idea where they're all gonna be. And if there's a need for another vote, we'll do it before the town meeting.
I was just going to ask that question.
So these are just budget, or not budgeted, but these are contractual
Yep,
increases?
contractual, not budgeted, right, yep. Yep. So, okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Article 2 is a transfer of $12,000 in ambulance receipts for repairs and maintenance of the ambulances.
I make a motion to approve Article 2 as written.
Second that.
Any discussion? Just gonna pay for repairs. All right, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Next one is ambulance receipts again, transfer $10,000 because the ambulance software licensing fee has increased. And the different certifications like EMTP, ACLS, PALS, and CPR have increased. So they're gonna fund it out of the ambulance fund for $10,000.
Make a motion to approve Article 3 as written.
I second that.
Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Article 4, transfer per town policy, the East Bridgewater Police Department require 8 hours of body-worn camera training prior to implementation. We've had these cameras for a few years. We've never really put them into play. The new contract puts them into play. Before they get used, they have to have training. And so for that, they need $12,860.
Make a motion to approve Article 4 as written.
I second that.
Any other discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Article 5. Requested by the police, town will vote to appropriate and transfer $37,750 from the central school repair assessment budget and $11,000 from the assessment of Central Elementary School to the account 191-599-5241 Central School Repair for unanticipated repairs at the Central Elementary School. These are two articles that were leftover reserve funds. So what we're gonna do is just transfer and firm that to this, to repair this.
Okay.
If you may have read at some point that we had a sewer line problem
Right.
Yeah.
inside the school itself, and it costs something in the vicinity of that, so rather than go to the reserve fund for the money,
Oh, so it's not coming out of the reserve fund?
no, these are coming, as you mentioned, David, these are older articles, so the idea is that they will go into
Oh, okay.
central school to pay for those repairs.
Was it really requested by the police department?
Oh.
Article 5 says it was
I
requested by
think
the
that's a
police chief.
typo, I will make sure it
Okay.
gets corrected.
All right.
I believe it's BPW.
Okay.
So, a couple of weeks ago, on March 12th, we voted a reserve fund transfer of $24,376 for the sewer.
Melanie's at the school building committee meeting, I'll text her now to make sure I'm right.
Okay,
Motion on that, or do we
yep,
want- okay.
let's do a motion.
All right, so, motion to approve Article 5 as written?
I second that.
Discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. And these unanticipated repairs, this could also be related to the electrical problem. Did you see that? That the schools were closed Monday
Oh,
and
yeah,
Tuesday?
Central School was closed.
And there's actually a video on the front of the central school that caught it. The telephone pole out in front just burst up in flames from the ground. Yeah. So. Okay, we're gonna do the money articles. Okay, Article 1, town vote repairs. Authorize select board to apply state or federal grants. See if the town vote- Okay, so Article 3 is to fix the maximum amount that may be spent during the fiscal year for revolving fund accounts. And the revolving accounts we have is Council on Aging, Programming, and Minibus. That's set at 10,000. Center at Sachem Rock for the rental, that's set at 20,000. Recreation Commission activities is set at 40,000. Passport photo fees, set at 3,000, and the public library is $6,000. I don't believe those numbers have changed over the years. And this is from a revolving account for cash they take in that gets deposited. This is all they can spend.
Motion to approve Article 3 as written?
Second that.
Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Go under the provision of general law. Okay. Okay, so this next Article 4 advances the operating budget for the town for the fiscal year beginning on July 1st. Charlie, is this covering the entire budget?
Yes.
Okay, so we do have a balanced budget. Together, well, I can tell you exactly what it is.
Total is about $65,753,000.
I sure. Okay. Totals with revenues. Right. $64,984,000. You know, there's one thing I want to make clear on this. We've got basically a $65 million operating budget, of which our local receipts and taxes only covers 58% of that. So the property tax covers 58%. Other sources in revenue is state aid, Chapter 90, Chapter 70 money for the roads and for the schools, excise tax that you pay on your car. There's revenue that comes in for water department, is self-funded. There's money that comes in from solid waste. But the state component of funds outside of us comes to about, I want to say 35 or 33%.
You
No?
know, I mean, it's a 25, it's not even 25%. It's closer to 20.
I might be counting some other things in there then.
Well, for the state aid, we're assuming 14.7 million out of the 65 million.
Yeah.
So,
Does that include 90 and 70? Chapter 90 and 70
no,
money?
because that's off budget. Chapter 90 is not included in this budget.
Okay,
Chapter 70 is as part of the school budget.
okay. All right. So we are dependent on the government. I also, Charlie, I don't know if you saw it, I saw it right before I came up here today. They passed the budget in the House.
Well, the House Ways and Means has released its budget.
Right,
We are getting more aid via Chapter 70. The governor had proposed a budget of an increase of $75 per student for most districts. There are a few districts that get far more than that, but that's, for us, it was 75. The House bumped it up to 150. They'll vote on that in 2 weeks, the week of the 28th.
Right.
Then it will go to the Senate, they may make revisions. On the other hand, there's what's called unrestricted aid that which was kept flat. There's no increase in that. We were expecting about a 2 or 2.5% increase in general local aid, and we're not getting anything. Nobody else is getting anything either. But the net was that we would be a little bit better with the House budget than with the governor's budget because of that 75 versus $150 per student.
Well, I was sitting with John Shea before I came up here, and he estimated that to be about $150,000.
Yeah, because we have around 2,000 students.
So that would, anything's a help. Okay, does anybody have any particular questions on any of the town budgets that they covered and the folks they met with, et cetera?
Just on the article, it says 2024. Should that say fiscal year 2026?
Yeah, this is the first draft, we're just voting on it, so this will say 26.
So they'll fix that, okay.
So let's point those things out, okay? So, all right. So my experience this year with departments, they were all very engaging, understood our situation, and worked very closely with us. And there was a lot more transparency about things than I've seen in my 30 years. It's tough because I'm only 45. Did you know that?
I did.
I did, okay. All right, so can anybody want to talk about their experience at all with the departments they reviewed?
I worked with the Council on Aging,
Did you?
yeah. Smooth process.
Smooth process, huh?
Working with the library, very, very smooth, very easy to work with.
And
Yeah,
who
the
did the-
DPW was, it was very, kind of enlightening or educational, like as far as how much stuff the DPW does in the town. You don't realize, you know, kind of all the things that they have a hand in. So it was
Yeah,
kind of good
that
to
was
learn.
one of the big benefits that we wanted years ago when we did the government review study, was to create a DPW. And I gotta say, John Haynes has really brought that to the next level. All of the maintenance on the vehicles, things, you know, fixed in a timely fashion, and it's really saved us a bunch of money. It was one of the best things we've done in a while. But thank God we have them, let me tell you, so.
Well, we worked with the fire department, and
Worked
as
with the
always,
fire
they were great. I mean,
Even through a
Chief
chief
Farhan.
transition.
even through a chief transition, right? But they're always great. I mean, they always.
Well, Tim just said, I don't care, I'm not gonna be here,
No,
do whatever
stop
you
it
want.
now.
Yeah,
He did.
so, but, no, they're always good to work with, and their ambulance revenue is, very helpful to the budget, subsidizes, though this year, 1.15 million to the budget, for the fire department, so, that's very, very helpful. And also, he has a capital article for an ambulance at 400,000. And, you know, we had to work with them a couple of years ago, they got a new, engine, and they paid it back, I wanna say 3 years, and they paid, their final payment was last year, so. With that, I will entertain a motion.
So we're still on Article 4, right?
Article 4, yeah?
So, I motion to approve Article 4 as written.
Yes.
And I'll second that.
Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Next article is regarding the MBTA, it's not a money article, Article 7's not a money article. Article 6, no, Article 8. Okay, this basically is the same as we had on the special town meeting. Yep,
The central school articles, you guys already signed a reserve fund transfer for the,
the $24,000 one.
yeah, so that was already signed and out of the reserve fund.
Okay.
So the two central school articles that we're moving into a central school repair account, will be for the electrical work.
Okay.
That was
all right,
done
that's
this
it, I
week.
can- All right, that's what it was. Okay, well, Melanie, now that you're here, why don't you come and join us? So we're on Article 8, raise appropriate funds to meet obligations for union and personnel contracts.
For the annual?
Yeah,
Okay.
it's we have the first one.
Yeah, so the special will, right now it's just police.
Right.
correct? So it
Patrol
will be
officers.
FY '24 and FY '25
Right,
for the
right.
patrol
Retro,
officers.
yep.
And for, even for the annual, it's only gonna be police as far
I
as we
would say it's
know.
gonna be only the patrol officers. I don't see us settling with any other union between now and May 12th.
Right, so when Chief Jenkins did his budget for FY '26, he used the current rates that the officers are being paid at on their old contract. So now they'll come up with an amount of what the difference is between the old contract and the new contract, and we'll fund that in Article 8.
And the board just signed, both the police union and the select board just signed this on Monday. So we're just deriving the figures during this week.
Okay. All right,
All right, make a motion to approve Article 8 as written.
I second that.
all right. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Article 9, 25,390,000 contractual sick leave buyback for patrol officers.
So this is they know of a retirement happening in FY '26.
Yep.
And this is with the within his contract, he can buy out however percent of his sick time. And that's what they've calculated will be, at his new rate, the 25,000. And rather than people put those in their budget when we know of a retirement, we generally raise it separately.
Right,
So that's.
so it doesn't roll over into the next year's
Right.
budget. Yep.
And so that they don't have to take a hit because they have somebody retiring.
Okay. Discussion?
So what happens if it doesn't get approved at town meeting? Like, does it then the police department takes a hit in their budget? Is that what?
No, if for some reason the town voted against the amount, then we would have to go back to the negotiating table. In essence, we would be, the select board is committed to supporting the article, obviously. But if town meeting said otherwise, we would go back to the patrol officers and say, because everything's contingent always on appropriation at town meeting, we would go back to the patrol officers and say, we've got to continue our negotiations.
Okay, all right, thank you. All right, so I make a motion to approve Article 9 as written.
Second?
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. The next article pertains to the opioid stabilization fund. That's funds that we receive that can
Yes.
only be used for specific items,
Yeah,
right?
so it's the opioid money, it's come through in settlements to all the towns, and we can use it in support of preventing and treating opioid addiction. And the police department, the East Bridgewater Police Department is the lead on the Plymouth County Outreach Grant, which handles opioid addiction. So what the 10,000 for is basically, since they work under the umbrella of East Bridgewater, we cover all their, the technology costs associated with them, so like setting up their emails and their multi-factor authentications and things like that. So this money will pay for that piece of their program rather than our general IT budget paying for it.
And it's just $1,000.
10,000 is Article
10,000
11.
there, and then, sorry, was I speaking out of
The
turn?
next article, it's okay.
So the 1,000 covers their membership, the
Yeah.
Plymouth County Outreach's membership, with another Plymouth County program. And then the 10,000 is the IT.
Right, for the outreach program. Okay. All right,
I make a motion to approve Article 10 as written.
Second?
and all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Article 11, you've just covered, it's to get their IT up to snuff for the opioid program with for the outreach.
I make a motion to approve Article 11 as written.
Second?
All those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Once again, this isn't revenue from the town. This is from a
Correct.
class action suit
Yep.
that the town receives the money to utilize for these programs. Article 12, free cash, 35,000. This is for the 5-year reevaluation of property?
Yes.
Okay.
I don't have, I have a very basic
All right.
understanding.
So every 5 years, we have to do a reevaluation of the town, the assessor's office. And rather than, once again, putting it in the budget at $25,000 this year and having it roll into next year, we just choose to fund that separately every 5 years. So we have, we're actually using the cash that we have that year. This has been ongoing since I've been around. So it's nothing unusual.
I make a motion to approve Article 12 as written.
Second.
Any discussion? I'm just hoping they assess my house lower.
Yes,
Really?
I'm sure that's
In this
exactly
market?
what will happen.
That's a good idea.
Well, I'm gonna put junk cars all around the house.
I could be wrong too, but I think that it's actually been longer than the 5 years because their 5 years fell during
COVID.
COVID. So they were, that kind of was overstepped
Yeah.
by the state and now it's coming up again.
Okay. Any further discussion? All those in favor? Aye. Article 13 is capital. Capital Committee met on these. There's one missing from here. Oh no, they got it on here. Okay, the ambulance. Okay. So this is for the DPW for road repairs, which we budget $447,776. Fire department's $400,000 for an ambulance. Police department, taser replacement program that we voted on last year to pay over 4 or 5 years, I believe, $29,289. School department, the stage floor at the auditorium, $30,973. And IT townwide computers of $50,000. Finance, Capital Committee voted on all these and approved them unanimously.
Make a motion to approve Article 13 as written.
And I second it.
All right, all those in favor?
Aye.
Article 14, that's a general law change, that's not a funding article. Article 15, property tax exemptions. Well,
Might be it.
that concludes the articles for the annual and special town meeting.
Go to top.
It's a long time to get here, though. It's a long time to get here.
Well, it's not that it's a short meeting, but the financial articles, they're it's a lot, but
I mean, there was a lot of background work, and I think with the amount of transparency I've seen this year, it's really brought a lot of things to light. An example, just a small example, is when there's a detail in town, the police charge, if they need a cruiser there, they charge a cruiser fee to have the car there for maintenance. It's been sitting in an account, what is it, 30,000 in there now? There's 30,000 in that account, but they can't use it, they can't touch it. So we're transferring that into the reserve fund so they can have access to it for repair and maintenance of the cruisers. So it's been sitting there for, 5 years they've been doing this?
I think 3.
3 years? So, when I say every stone was turned over, it was so far. She's a hound dog, let me tell you. She's wild.
They're trying.
So, I'm gonna make a guess, the next time we meet will be right before the annual town meeting, because I'm gonna assume we're all going. And, we'll vote on the remaining minutes at that point in time, and then we'll take a break for a month and start on next year.
Okay.
Was there something else in the email, or on the agenda? Something about, like some sick benefit or something for like an injured officer that,
On-the-job
Do
injury,
we-
medical expenses.
Did you get a reserve
I
fund
think we
I didn't get a
transfer for that?
reserve fund for that.
Which,
The medical expenses?
I don't, because we don't have an amount.
Okay, because we have that one invoice, but we didn't get a future. I
So
think
that
they're
will-
waiting to try to get an estimate of future.
So we'll do a reserve fund transfer before town meeting.
Yeah, okay.
But that's like not covered by like insurance or medical?
So,
We're
what
self-insured.
it's an injury on duty, injury. And workers' comp does not cover police and fire. You have to get a separate insurance policy. The injury that actually occurred was more than 20 years ago, when now former Chief O'Brien was a patrol officer. And he's suffering because of that. The thing is that even if we had an insurance policy more than 20 years ago, it's gone. But my understanding is we self-insured at that time. So we were on the hook for all the bills related to that, even though it's more than 20 years later. We're doing our best to pay the workers' comp rates, which are always less than the full medical cost. So even though it's technically not a workers' comp injury.
Okay, yeah, I was just
Yeah,
curious.
Well,
that
no,
makes
it's-
sense.
yeah,
Very
I mean,
unique situation, for sure.
Yeah.
For whatever reason, back when dinosaurs ruled the earth, either for whatever reason, the state legislature carved out an exception from workers' comp for police and fire. And so you have to get, we do have, for instance, if someone got injured today, we do have a separate insurance policy that covers both the medical costs and any lost wages.
Okay, good. All right, if there's nothing else, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
I make a motion to adjourn.
I'll second that.
Let's have a discussion. All right, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Thank you.